Okay, here goes. I'm just gonna tell it like it happened, like I remember it. My name's Marcus, by the way. And up until a few weeks ago, I was just another guy, driving for Uber Eats, trying to make ends meet for my wife, Sarah, and our little girl, Maya. Life wasn't always easy, but it was ours. That day started like any other Tuesday. Alarm went off at 6, same as always. Maya was already bouncing around, wanting pancakes. Sarah was trying to get ready for her shift at the nursing home, looking tired but smiling at Maya's energy. I made the pancakes, extra syrup for Maya, black coffee for me and Sarah. Kissed them both goodbye, hopped in my old reliable Honda, and switched on the Uber Eats app. Let's make some bread, I muttered to myself, like I always do. Just a little ritual. The morning was slow. A couple of breakfast orders, then a lull. I remember sitting in a parking lot, scrolling through my phone, listening to some old-school R&B. The sun was trying to peek through the clouds, one of those gray days that can't make up its mind. I was thinking about bills, about Maya needing new shoes, about how Sarah deserved a vacation we couldn't afford. The usual stuff that grinds on you when you're waiting for the next ping. Around lunchtime, things picked up. I got an order from Burger Bonanza, one of those greasy spoon places that always smells amazing. The destination was a part of town I didn't go to often. A bit rough around the edges, but hey, a delivery's a delivery. I remember the bag felt heavy with fries and burgers. The smell was making my own stomach rumble. I pulled up to this apartment complex. It was a bit run down, paint peeling here and there, kids' bikes left on the patchy grass. I double-checked. The apartment number on the app, 3B. Okay. Grabbed the bag, locked my car, and headed for the outside staircase. As I was walking towards the stairs, I saw a couple of kids playing near the entrance of the building. One was a little older, maybe 10 or 11, kicking a soccer ball around. The other one, much smaller, maybe 6 or 7, was trying to keep up, giggling. It made me smile. Reminded me of Maya, that pure, uncomplicated joy. I started up the metal stairs. Clang, clang, clang. They always make so much noise. I was on the second floor landing, about to head up to the third, when I heard it. Pop, pop, pop. At first, my brain didn't register. Fireworks, a car backfiring. It's funny how your mind tries to make sense of things, tries to fit them into a normal box. But then there was another burst. Pop, 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 pop. Louder this time, sharper, and with it a scream. Not a playful scream, a real one, full of terror. My blood went cold. I just froze there on the landing, the Burger Bonanza bag suddenly feeling like a ton of bricks. My heart started hammering against my ribs like it wanted out. I've never been in the army, never been in a fight much beyond a schoolyard scuffle. I'm not a hero, man. I'm a dad. I deliver food. I peeked, very slowly, around the corner of the stairwell, looking down into the courtyard area where the kids had been. What I saw, it's burned into my brain. One of the older kids, not the ones I saw playing, but bigger, maybe a teenager, was standing there with something in his hand. And the little boy, the one who'd been giggling just moments before, he was on the ground, not moving much. The older kid who'd been playing soccer was gone, probably ran, and I don't blame him one bit. Then the teenager with the gun, he looked around, almost casual, and started to walk away, sort of sauntering like he hadn't just ripped a hole in the world. My mind was screaming, "Call 911, hide, get out of here." All sensible things. But my feet, they weren't listening to the sensible part of my brain. All I could see was that little boy on the ground. He looked so small, so fragile. I don't know what came over me. Maybe it was thinking of Maya. Maybe it was just, I couldn't not do something. I dropped the food bag. It landed with a soft thud, burgers and fries probably spilling everywhere. Didn't care. I ran down those stairs, faster than I thought I could move. Clang, 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 clang. My own footsteps sounded like thunder. The teenager with the gun, he was almost at the street. He glanced back, saw me running towards the boy, and for a split second our eyes met. I saw nothing there, just blank. He didn't raise the gun at me, just turned and disappeared around the corner. Maybe he thought I was crazy. Maybe I was. I reached the little boy. He was so tiny. He had on a blue t-shirt with a cartoon character I didn't recognize. There was blood. Oh God, there was so much blood blooming on his shirt near his shoulder. His eyes were wide, full of a pain and fear no kid should ever know. He was making these little whimpering sounds. "Hey, buddy." "Hey," I said, my voice sounding strange and shaky even to my own ears. "It's okay, I got you, I got you." I knelt beside him, my hands were trembling. What do I do? What do I do? 911, yes. But he was losing so much blood. The hospital wasn't super close, but it felt closer than waiting for an ambulance in that moment. Every second felt like an eternity. "Can you hear me, little man?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm, gentle. He blinked, a tear rolling down his dusty cheek. "Okay, we're gonna get you some help. You're gonna be brave for me, all right?" I didn't even think, I just scooped him up. He was light, too light. He cried out a sharp little yelp of pain, and I felt something inside me break. I'm sorry, buddy, hold on tight." I ran back to my Honda, my keys, where were my damn keys? Fumbling in my pocket, hand slick with his blood. Got them, unlocked the car, threw open the passenger door, laid him as gently as I could on the seat. His head lolled a bit. "Stay with me, okay? Stay with me." I jumped into the driver's seat, slammed the door, jammed the key in the ignition. The engine roared to life. Thank God for old reliable Hondas. I peeled out of that parking lot, tires squealing. I didn't care about traffic laws, red lights, nothing. I just drove, one hand on the wheel, the other reaching over, trying to put pressure on his shoulder where the blood was worst. "What's your name, son?" I asked, trying to keep him conscious, trying to keep myself from completely panicking. He whispered something, so faint. "What was that, buddy? Say it a little louder for me." Leo, he breathed out. "Leo, that's a strong name. Like a lion, right? You gotta be strong like a lion for me, Leo." He didn't answer. His eyes were starting to flutter, closed. No, Leo, stay with me, talk to me. "What's your favorite cartoon? You like superheroes?" My voice was cracking. I was blinking back tears, trying to see the road. My heart felt like it was going to explode. The hospital signs, they seemed so far away. I was honking the horn, weaving through traffic. People were probably cursing me out, but I didn't care. I just kept talking to Leo, nonsense mostly. Anything to keep him anchored, to keep me anchored. "We're almost there, Leo. Almost there. You're doing so good, so brave." His little hand, so small, twitched and found mine. He squeezed just a tiny bit. It was the faintest pressure, but it felt like a lifeline. Finally, I saw the big red emergency sign. I swerved into the ambulance bay, ignoring the ambulance's only warnings, and laid on the horn. I jumped out, ran to his side, scooped him up again. "Help! Somebody help! He's been shot! Little boy, he's been shot!" I was yelling, probably incoherent. Nurses and doctors in scrubs came running out. They saw Leo, saw the blood, and they were all motion, professional, urgent. They took him from my arms. One nurse, a kind-faced woman with graying hair, put a hand on my arm. "We've got him, sir. You can come inside." I just stood there, by my car, watching them rush Leo through the double doors. My arms felt empty. My whole body was shaking. I looked down at myself. My shirt, my hands, they were covered in his blood. Leo's blood. It was only then, standing there, the adrenaline starting to fade, that the full weight of it hit me. A little boy. Shot. And I'd held him. I leaned against my car, my legs feeling like jelly. I think I might have cried then. I don't really remember. It's all a bit of a blur. Someone, a security guard I think, gently guided me inside. They sat me down in a waiting room. It was cold, sterile, smelled like antiseptic. People were looking at me, at the blood. I must have looked like a madman. A police officer came over. A woman, calm, professional. She started asking me questions. What happened? Where? Did I see who did it? I tried to answer, tried to piece it all together. The words came out jumbled. I told her about the pop, the teenager scooping Leo up the drive. I gave her the address of the apartment complex. I described the shooter as best I could, but it was all so fast. The blank eyes. That's what I remembered most. More police arrived. They took my statement again. They looked at my car, at the blood on the passenger seat. They were respectful, but it was still an ordeal. I just wanted to know if Leo was okay. Hours passed, or maybe it was minutes. Time didn't make sense anymore. Sarah called. I'd forgotten to even call her. My phone was still in the car, and Officer brought it to me. Marcus, where are you? Are you okay? You missed a couple of check-in calls. Her voice was tight with worry. Sarah, I'm at City General Hospital. What? Why? Are you hurt? No, I'm okay, but something happened. A little boy. He got shot. I brought him in. Silence on the other end. Then, oh my God, Marcus, is he? I don't know yet, baby. I'm waiting to hear. I could hear her crying softly. You stay there, I'm coming. No, Sarah, you don't have to. My mom will get Maya from school. I'm coming. And she did. When she walked into that waiting room and saw me, saw the state of my clothes, she just rushed over and hugged me so tight. I think I needed that more than I knew. I buried my face in her shoulder and just held on. After what felt like a lifetime, a doctor came out. He looked tired, but he had a small, weary smile. Are you the gentleman who brought in Leo? He asked, looking at me. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. Sarah squeezed my hand. Well, you saved his life. The words hit me. You saved his life. He lost a lot of blood, the doctor continued, and the bullet was lodged dangerously close to some major vessels in his shoulder. But he's a fighter, and you getting him here so quickly, that made all the difference. He's out of surgery, stable for now. He's got a long road ahead, but he's alive. Thanks to you, I just sagged. Relief so potent it was almost painful washed over me. Tears streamed down my face. Sarah was crying too, holding my hand like she'd never let go. Leo was alive. Little while later, a woman came into the waiting room. She looked frantic, her eyes red-rimmed. Leo, where is my son Leo? She was asking a nurse. The nurse pointed towards us, towards the doctor who was still nearby. The woman rushed over. My boy? Leo? Is he? The doctor explained gently what had happened, that Leo was stable. Then he looked at me. This is the man who brought him in. The woman turned to me. Her eyes, full of anguish but also a dawning, immense gratitude, met mine. You saved my baby? She whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I didn't know what to say. I just nodded, feeling awkward. I'm no hero. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing. Thank you, God bless you, thank you. I held her, this stranger, this mother, and we just cried together. Her name was Maria. She was a single mom, worked 2 jobs. Leo was her world. I stayed for a bit longer. Sarah held my hand. Maria kept thanking me. The police asked a few more questions. Eventually, they said I could go home. They'd need my shirt for evidence, so a nurse gave me a set of scrubs to wear. Walking out of that hospital in pale blue scrubs, feeling drained and shaky, was surreal. The next few days were a blur. The story somehow got out. I guess the police report, the hospital staff. I don't know. My phone started ringing. Local news channels, then bigger ones. Black Uber Eats driver becomes a hero. That was one headline I saw. It felt weird seeing myself described like that. Black Uber Eats driver. Like my job and my skin color were the most important parts. I mean, they're parts of me, sure, but in that moment I wasn't thinking about being a black man or an Uber Eats driver. I was just thinking about that little boy. But America. Yeah, America responded. The calls were overwhelming. Sarah tried to field most of them. Some people were amazing. They sent cards, messages. Someone started a GoFundMe. Not for me, but for Leo and his mom, Maria. It raised a ton of money. Helped her take time off work to be with him. Helped with the medical bills that were already piling up. That part felt good. Really good. To see people rally around this little boy and his mom. My Uber Eats account got paused, pending an investigation or something. Understandable, I guess. My car was a bit of a mess. Some well-meaning person at Uber Corporate called, offered me counseling, said they were proud. It was all a whirlwind. There were some other kinds of responses, too. Online, you know how it is. Some people saying I should have minded my own business. Some people making it about race in good ways and bad. Some saying the neighborhood was the problem. Some saying guns were the problem. Everyone had an opinion. It was strange to be at the center of it. I didn't ask for any of it. I just wanted Leo to be okay. I did a couple of interviews. Tried to just tell the truth. What happened? Tried to steer the conversation towards Leo, towards Maria, towards the fact that a kid got shot playing in his own damn courtyard. They kept calling me a hero. I still don't feel like one. I felt scared. I felt desperate. I just acted. Any decent person would have done the same, right? I still believe that. Sarah was my rock through it all. She listened when I needed to talk, which wasn't often at first. I kept seeing Leo's face, the blood. I had nightmares for weeks. Woke up sweating, heart pounding. Sarah would just hold me, tell me it was okay, that Leo was safe. Maya, my little girl, she didn't understand all of it, but she knew something big had happened. She drew me a picture of a superhero with a cape, said it was me. I stuck it on the fridge. It made me tear up every time I saw it. I went to visit Leo in the hospital a few times. Maria was always there by his side. The first time I saw him, awake, really awake, he was small in that big hospital bed, his arm in a sling, but his eyes, they were clearer. He remembered me. He gave me this shy little smile. "Hi, Mr. Marcus," he said, his voice still weak. "Hey, Leo, how you feeling, champ?" My shoulder hurts, but Mom says I'm brave, like you. I had to look away for a second. That kid, so strong, Maria, would hug me every time. "Your family now, Marcus," she'd say. And it felt true. We were bound together by this terrible, beautiful thing. The media attention eventually died down, like it always does. The world moves on to the next story. And honestly, I was glad. I just wanted to get back to normal, or some version of it. Uber Eats cleared me to drive again. My car got cleaned. But things weren't quite the same. Every time I got a delivery to an apartment complex, my heart would beat a little faster. Every time I heard a loud noise, I'd jump. The world felt sharper, more dangerous, but also, in a strange way, more precious. I started noticing things more, little acts of kindness. People helping each other? Maybe I was looking for it, I don't know. But it seemed like there was good out there, mixed in with all the bad. And Leo got better. He had more surgeries, lots of physical therapy. But he was a fighter. Maria would send me pictures. Leo smiling, Leo starting to use his arm. Again, Leo back at school. Each picture was like a little piece of sunshine. Sometimes I think about that teenager with the gun. What was going on in his life that led him to that point? What makes someone do something like that? I don't have answers, just sadness for a cycle of violence that seems to keep spinning. They never caught him as far as I know. That's a bitter pill to swallow. But then I think about Leo and Maria and Sarah and Maya and all the people who reached out, who donated, who just sent a kind word. America responds. Yeah, it did. In all its complicated, messy, sometimes ugly, sometimes beautiful ways. For me, it wasn't about being a hero. It was about being human. It was about seeing a child in danger and not being able to turn away. I still drive for Uber Eats, still trying to make ends meet. Life goes on, right? But I'm different. That day changed me. I carry it with me, the fear, the horror, but also the fierce love I felt for that little boy I didn't even know. And the incredible relief when I found out he'd make it, I guess. What I learned is that you don't choose your moments. Moments choose you. And when they do, you find out who you really are. I'm still just Marcus, a dad, a husband, a guy driving a Honda. But I'm also the guy who didn't look away. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. When I see Leo now, he's usually got a soccer ball at his feet. He still favors his shoulder a bit, but he runs, he laughs. And every time I see him, I feel this ache in my chest. But it's not all sadness. It's gratitude. for second chances, for brave little boys, for the connections we make in the most unexpected, terrifying circumstances. Sarah says I don't give myself enough credit. Maybe she's right. But it's hard to see yourself as a hero when all you felt was terror and a desperate need to just do something. The news stories fade. The GoFundMe is closed. People forget. But Maria doesn't forget. Leo doesn't forget. And I sure as hell don't forget. Sometimes late at night when the house is quiet, I'll sit there and think about it all. The clang of those metal stairs. The pop, pop, pop. Leo's small bloodied hand in mine. And I'll say a little prayer of thanks, not for being a hero, but for being given the chance to help. For Leo getting to live. Yeah, that's my story. It's not a neat one. It's not a simple one, but it's real. It's what happened. And I guess, in the end, I'm just glad I was there. Glad I could make a difference for one little boy named Leo. That's more than enough for me. My name is Marcus. Most days I'm just a guy trying to make a living. A husband to my wonderful Sarah and a dad to our bright spark, Maya. I drive for Uber Eats. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills, or at least some of them. Life's a hustle, you know? But it's our hustle and we were doing okay. That Tuesday, it started like any other. The 6 a.m. alarm. Maya already a bundle of energy demanding pancakes. Sarah getting ready for her shift at the nursing home. Tired but always with a smile for Maya. I flipped the pancakes, poured the coffee, kissed my girls goodbye, and climbed into my trusty old Honda. Fired up the app, muttered my usual, let's make some bread, and pulled away from the curb. The morning crawled by. A couple of breakfast deliveries, then a long, quiet spell. I found myself parked in a supermarket lot, scrolling through news on my phone, half listening to some old soul tunes on the radio. The sky was that undecided gray, like it couldn't commit to sun or rain. My mind drifted, as it often did during those lulls, to the usual worries. The rent, Maya's worn-out sneakers. Wishing I could give Sarah a real break, a vacation somewhere warm. The kind of thoughts that gnaw at you when you're waiting for the next ping to break the silence. Lunchtime finally brought a flurry of orders. One popped up from Burger Bonanza, a local joint that always smelled like heaven. The drop-off was in a part of town I didn't often frequent, a neighborhood that had seen better days, but an order was an order. The bag felt heavy with the promise of juicy burgers and salty fries, and the aroma made my own stomach grumble in protest. I found the apartment complex easily enough. It was a bit tired-looking, with paint flaking off the wooden siding and kids' toys scattered on the patchy lawn. I checked the app again for the apartment number, 3B. Got it. I grabbed the food, locked up the car, and headed towards the outdoor metal staircase that led to the upper floors. As I approached the building, I noticed a couple of kids playing near the entrance. One, maybe 10 or 11, was dribbling a scuffed-up soccer ball with surprising skill. A smaller one, probably 6 or 7, was chasing after him, his laughter bright and clear. It was a sweet scene, innocent, and it brought a smile to my face. Maya's laughter sounded just like that, pure and unrestrained. I started up the stairs. Each step was a loud metallic clang. Clang, clang, clang. I've always hated how those things echo. I reached the second-floor landing and was just about to continue up to the third when the sound ripped through the afternoon, quiet. Pop, pop, pop. My first thought, oddly, was fireworks, or maybe a car backfiring. It's strange, the way your brain tries to normalize the unthinkable. But then came another burst, sharper this time, more urgent, pop, 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 pop. And with it, a scream, not a playful shriek from a child's game, but a raw, piercing sound of pure terror. A cold wave washed over me. I froze right there on that landing, the Burger Bonanza bag suddenly feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds. My heart began to pound against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of fear. I'm no tough guy. I've never been in a real fight, never mind anything like this. I'm a father. I deliver takeout. My hand was shaking as I cautiously peered around the edge of the stairwell, looking down into the small courtyard where I'd seen the children playing just moments before. The image that met my eyes is seared into my memory. A permanent, unwelcome resident. One of the older kids, not the ones I'd seen with the soccer ball, but a teenager, stood there, something dark and menacing in his hand. And the little boy, the one whose giggles had warmed me just minutes ago, was crumpled on the ground. He wasn't moving. The older boy with the soccer ball was gone, vanished. I couldn't blame him. The teenager with the gun scanned the area, his movements chillingly casual, then began to stroll away as if he hadn't just shattered a life, a family, the peace of an afternoon. My mind was a whirlwind of conflicting commands. Call 911, get down, run! All perfectly logical, sensible reactions, but my body, my feet, they weren't listening to logic. All I could see was that small, still form on the concrete. He looked so impossibly tiny, so vulnerable. I don't know. What snapped in me? Maybe it was the father in me, thinking of Maya. Maybe it was just a basic human instinct. I couldn't stand there and do nothing. I just couldn't. The food bag dropped from my hand. It landed with a soft thud, the smell of burgers and fries momentarily filling the air before being swallowed by the metallic tang of fear. I didn't give it a second thought. I bolted down those stairs, moving faster than I ever thought possible. Clang, 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 clang. My own footsteps sounded like explosions in the sudden, awful silence. The kid with the gun was nearing the street. He glanced back, his eyes meeting mine for a horrifying fraction of a second as I sprinted towards the fallen child. There was nothing in his gaze. No remorse, no fear, just a chilling emptiness. He didn't point the gun at me. He just turned and melted around the corner, gone. Maybe he thought I was out of my mind. Maybe in that moment I was. I reached the little boy. He was even smaller up close. He wore a bright blue t-shirt. A cartoon superhero I didn't recognize splashed across the front. And there was blood. So much blood. A dark, terrifying stain spreading across the blue, soaking into the fabric near his shoulder. His eyes were wide, filmed with a pain and confusion that no child should ever experience. He was making small, whimpering sounds like a wounded animal. "Hey, buddy, hey," I managed, my voice hoarse and shaky, foreign even to my own ears. "It's gonna be okay. I'm here. I got you." I dropped to my knees beside him. My hands were trembling violently. What was I supposed to do? Think, Marcus, think. Call 911, yes. But he was bleeding so badly. The hospital felt miles away. But waiting for an ambulance seemed like an eternity he might not have. Every tick of the clock was a hammer blow. "Can you hear me, little man?" I asked, fighting to keep my voice steady, gentle. He blinked slowly, a single tear tracing a path through the dust on his cheek. "Okay, listen to me. We're gonna get you help. You just gotta be brave for me, okay? Can you do that?" There was no time for second guessing. I just reacted. I carefully, gently scooped him into my arms. He was so light, terrifyingly light. He cried out, a sharp, sudden yelp of pain that tore right through me. "I'm so sorry, buddy, I'm so sorry. Just hold on tight." I turned and ran, back towards my Honda. Keys. Where were my damn keys? My fingers fumbled frantically in my pocket, slick with his warm blood. Finally, I felt the cold metal. Unlocked the car with a beep. I wrenched open the passenger door and laid him as gently as I could across the seat. His small head lolled, and a fresh wave of panic hit me. "Stay with me, okay? You gotta stay with me." I scrambled into the driver's seat, slammed my door, shut and jammed the key into the ignition. The engine coughed, then roared to life. Thank God for this old car. I slammed the gas pedal, tires screeching as I peeled out of that parking lot. Red lights, stop signs, traffic laws. They meant nothing. My focus was singular. Get this child to help. I drove with one hand gripping the wheel, the other pressed against his shoulder, trying to staunch the flow of blood. "What's your name, son?" I asked, desperate to keep him conscious, desperate to keep my own rising terror at bay. He whispered something, so faint I almost missed it. "What was that, buddy? A little louder for me, okay?" "Leo," he breathed, each syllable an effort. "Leo. That's a good, strong name. Like a lion, right? You gotta be strong like a lion for me now, Leo." He didn't respond, His eyelids began to flutter, threatening to close. No, 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 Leo, don't close your eyes. Stay with me, talk to me. What's your favorite cartoon? Do you like superheroes? We're almost there. My voice was cracking, breaking under the strain. I was blinking furiously, trying to clear the tears from my own eyes so I could see the road. My chest felt like it was about to explode. The hospital felt like it was on another planet. I laid on the horn, weaving through cars like a madman. I'm sure people were cursing me, giving me the finger, but I didn't care. I just kept talking to Leo, rambling about anything and everything. A stream of consciousness aimed at keeping him tethered to the world, at keeping myself from falling apart. We're almost there, Leo. You hear me? Almost there. You're doing so good. You're so brave. His little hand, so small and fragile, twitched, then found mine. He squeezed, the faintest pressure, but it was like an electric shock, a lifeline. He was still with me. Then, finally, blessedly, I saw it. The big red emergency sign. I swerved hard into the ambulance bay, ignoring the ambulance's only signs and the startled looks, and slammed on the horn, leaning on it until someone came. I stumbled out of the car, ran to the passenger side, and scooped Leo up again. Help! Somebody please help, he's been shot. This little boy, he's been shot. I was shouting, my voice raw, probably not making much sense. Doors burst open and figures in scrubs, nurses, doctors, came running towards me. They saw Leo, saw the blood, and their professional training kicked in. They were a blur of urgent, efficient motion. They took him from my arms, a weight lifted that left me feeling strangely empty. One nurse, an older woman with kind eyes and graying hair, placed a gentle hand on my arm. We've got him, sir. Come inside. You did good. I just stood there for a moment, frozen beside my car, watching them rush Leo through the automatic doors. My arms ached. My entire body was shaking. Uncontrollably, I looked down at myself, my shirt, my jeans, my hands. They were all stained, smeared with his blood. Leo's blood. It was only then, standing in the harsh glare of the hospital lights, the adrenaline beginning to recede, that the full, crushing weight of what had happened truly hit me. A child, a little boy, shot. And I had held him, felt his, lifeblood soaking into my clothes. I leaned heavily against my Honda, my legs threatening to buckle. I think I started to cry then, ragged, helpless sobs. The memory is hazy, fragmented. A hospital security guard gently took my arm and guided me inside, into the sterile, antiseptic-smelling chill of the emergency room waiting area. People stared. I knew I must have looked a sight, covered in blood, my face probably a mask of shock and grief. A police officer, a woman with a calm demeanor, approached me. She began asking questions, her voice professional but not unkind. What did I see? Where did it happen? Could I describe the shooter? I tried to answer, to reconstruct the nightmare. The words tumbled out, jumbled and incoherent. I told her about the popping sounds, the teenager with the blank eyes, grabbing Leo, the desperate drive. I gave her the address of the apartment. Complex. I did my best to describe the shooter, but it had all happened so fast. Those empty eyes, though, I'd never forget those. More officers arrived, more questions. They looked at my car, photographed the bloodstains on the passenger seat. They were thorough, respectful, but it was an ordeal. All I wanted, all I cared about was knowing if Leo was okay. Hours crawled by. Or maybe it was minutes. Time had lost all meaning. My phone, which an officer had retrieved from my car, rang. It was Sarah. I'd completely forgotten to call her. Marcus, where are you? Are you okay? You missed your check-in calls. Her voice was tight with an anxiety I knew all too well. Sarah. Honey. I'm at City General Hospital. Sharp intake of breath on her end. What? Why? Are you hurt? What happened? No, I'm okay. I'm not hurt, but something awful happened. A little boy. He got shot. I brought him in. Silence. Then a choked, "Oh my God, Marcus. Is he going to be?" "I don't know yet, baby. I'm still waiting to hear. They're working on him." I could hear her quiet sobs. "Stay right there. I'm coming." "No, Sarah, you don't need to. Maya My mom can get Maya from school. I'm on my way. Click, and she came. When she walked into that waiting room and saw me, saw the blood on my clothes, her face crumpled. She rushed to me and wrapped her arms around me, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. I clung to her, burying my face in her hair, drawing strength from her presence. I hadn't realized how much I needed that hug until that moment. After what felt like an eternity, a doctor in surgical greens emerged. He looked exhausted, but there was a faint, weary smile on his face. "Are you the gentleman who brought in Leo?" he asked, his gaze settling on me. I could only nod, my throat constricted. Sarah squeezed my hand, her fingers interlocked with mine. "Well," the doctor said, his smile widening slightly, "you saved his life." The words hung in the air, stunning me. "You saved his life. He lost a significant amount of blood," the doctor continued, his voice grave but hopeful. "The bullet was lodged dangerously close to some major blood vessels in his shoulder. But he's a tough little guy. And you getting him here as quickly as you did, that made all the difference. He's out of surgery, and he's stable. For now. He has a long recovery ahead, but he's alive. Because of you." A wave of relief so powerful it was almost physically painful washed over me. Tears, hot and unbidden, streamed down my face. Sarah was crying too, her arm around my shoulders, her hand still gripping mine. Leo was alive. He was going to make it. A short while later, a woman burst into the waiting room, her face a mask of anguish, her eyes wide and red-rimmed. "Leo, where is my son Leo?" she cried out, her voice desperate, scanning the room until she spotted "Nurse." The nurse gently gestured towards us, towards the doctor who was still standing nearby, reviewing some notes. The woman hurried over, her gaze fixed on the doctor. "My boy, Leo, is he?" The doctor calmly explained Leo's condition, that he was stable after surgery. Then he turned and indicated me. "This is the man who brought him in. He saved your son's life." The woman's head snapped towards me, her eyes, filled with a maelstrom of fear, pain, and a dawning, overwhelming gratitude, locked with mine. You saved my baby," she whispered, her voice trembling, laden with emotion. I didn't know what to say. What could I say? I just nodded, feeling a flush of awkwardness. I'm no hero. I just did what anyone would do. She didn't say another word. She just stepped forward and collapsed into my arms, her body racked with sobs. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you," she repeated over and over, her tears soaking my already stained shirt. I held her, this stranger, this mother whose child I had held bleeding in my arms, and we just stood there, two souls connected by a thread of tragedy and hope, crying together. Her name, I learned, was Maria, a single mom working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Leo was her entire world. I stayed a while longer. Sarah sat beside me, a silent, comforting presence. Maria, her initial shock giving way to a profound gratitude, kept thanking me, her words heartfelt and humbling. The police asked a few more clarifying questions. Finally, they said I was free to go. They needed my clothes for evidence, so a kind nurse found me a set of pale blue hospital scrubs to wear home. Walking out of that hospital, into the fading afternoon light, dressed in those scrubs, feeling utterly drained and shaky, was one of the most surreal experiences of my life. The days that followed were a whirlwind. The story, as stories like this often do, found its way to the media. I'm still not sure how. The police report, hospital staff talking, maybe someone in the neighborhood. My phone started ringing off the hook. First it was local news stations, then national outlets. Black Uber Eats driver becomes a hero after saving boy in shooting. That was one of the headlines. It felt strange, almost detached, reading about myself like that. Black Uber Eats driver. As if my race and my job were the defining characteristics of what happened. They're part of who I am, of course. But in that terrifying moment, I wasn't thinking about being a black man or an Uber Eats driver or anything other than that little boy lying on the ground. But the headline wasn't wrong about one thing. America responds. And it did. The sheer volume of calls and messages was overwhelming. Sarah became my unofficial gatekeeper, trying to shield me from the worst of it. Some of the responses were incredible. People sent cards, flowers, heartfelt messages of support. Someone, a complete stranger, started a GoFundMe campaign, not for me, but for Leo and Maria. It raised a significant amount of money, enough to help Maria take time off work to be by Leo's side, to cover some of the mounting medical expenses. That part, seeing that outpouring of generosity, felt truly good. It was a balm to my frayed nerves, a reminder of the good in people. My Uber Eats account was temporarily suspended, pending an internal review or something. It was understandable, I guess. My car was still impounded, considered part of a crime scene. Someone from Uber corporate called, offered condolences, support, even counseling. They said they were proud. It was all a dizzying, disorienting blur. But not all the responses were positive. The internet, as it often is, was a mixed bag. Some people, hiding behind anonymous usernames, said, "I should have minded my own business." Others tried to twist the narrative, making it about race in divisive ways, or blaming the neighborhood, or turning it into a political debate about gun control. Everyone, it seemed, had an opinion, a hot take. It was a strange and uncomfortable feeling to be thrust into the center of such a public storm. I hadn't asked for any of this. All I had wanted, all I still wanted, was for Leo to be okay. I did a couple of interviews reluctantly. I tried to stick to the facts, to just tell the story of what happened. I tried, as much as possible, to steer the conversation towards Leo, towards Maria, towards the tragic reality that a child had been shot while playing in his own courtyard on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. They kept calling me a hero. I still don't feel like one. I felt scared out of my wits. I felt desperate. I just reacted. Wouldn't any decent human being have done the same? I have to believe that. Throughout it all, Sarah was my anchor. She listened patiently when I finally found the words to talk about it, which wasn't often in those first few weeks. The images haunted me. Leo's small, pale face, the bright crimson stain spreading on his blue t-shirt. Nightmares became a regular occurrence, waking me in a cold sweat, my heart racing. Sarah would just hold me, murmuring soothing words, reminding me that it was over, that Leo was safe. Maya, our little girl, didn't fully grasp the gravity of what had happened, but she knew her daddy had done something important. She drew me a picture, a caped superhero with a big M on his chest. "That's you, Daddy," she'd said, her eyes shining. I taped it to the refrigerator, and it brought a lump to my throat every time I saw it. I visited Leo in the hospital, whenever I could. Maria was a constant presence by his bedside, her strength and resilience an inspiration. The first time I saw Leo awake and alert, he was dwarfed by the hospital bed, his arm immobilized in a sling, but his eyes, they were clearer, brighter. He remembered me. He offered a shy, tentative smile. "Hi, Mr. Marcus," he'd whispered, his voice still weak. "Hey there, Leo, how are you feeling, champ? My shoulder hurts a lot, but Mommy says I'm brave, like you were." I had to turn away for a moment, overwhelmed. That little boy, his courage was immense. Maria hugged me tightly each time I visited. "You're family now, Marcus," she'd say, her voice thick with emotion. And in a strange, profound way, it felt true. We were bound together by this terrible, beautiful, life-altering event. The media frenzy eventually subsided, as it always does. The news cycle moves on, hungry for the next sensational story. And to be honest, I was relieved. I craved a return to normalcy, or at least some semblance of it. Uber Eats reinstated my driving privileges. My car was eventually returned, cleaned and repaired, but things weren't quite the same. They couldn't be. Every time I got a delivery to an apartment complex, especially one with those clangy metal stairs, my heart would pound a little harder. Every unexpected loud noise made me jump. The world felt edgier, more unpredictable, but also, in a strange way, more precious, more fragile. I started noticing the small things more. A stranger holding a door open. A shared smile with another driver stuck in traffic. Little acts of kindness that I might have overlooked before. Maybe I was actively looking for them, seeking reassurance that the world wasn't entirely consumed by darkness. But it seemed to me that there was still a lot of good out there, quiet and unassuming, but present. And Leo continued to heal. He endured more surgeries, countless hours of painful physical therapy. But he was a fighter, that kid. Maria kept me updated, sending pictures. Leo smiling, Leo tentatively using his arm again, Leo finally back at school with his friends. Each photo was a small miracle, a ray of sunshine in the lingering shadow of that awful day. Sometimes in quiet moments, I think about that teenager, the one with the gun and the empty eyes. What demons was he battling? What led him to such a desperate, destructive act? I don't have any answers, only a profound sadness for a cycle of violence that seems to ensnare so many young lives. As far as I know, he was never caught. That's a bitter pill, one that's hard to swallow. But then my thoughts turned to Leo, to Maria, to Sarah and Maya, to all the strangers who reached out, who donated to the GoFundMe, who simply offered a kind word of encouragement. America responds. Yes, it certainly did. In all its complex, contradictory, sometimes frustrating, sometimes inspiring ways. For me, this was never about being a hero. It was about being human. It was about seeing a child in mortal danger and finding myself incapable of turning away. I still drive for Uber Eats, the bills still need paying. Life, as they say, goes on. But I'm different now. That day irrevocably changed me. I carry it with me always. The fear, the horror, the sight of so much blood, but also the fierce, protective love I felt for that little boy I'd never met, and the overwhelming, soul-deep relief when I learned he would live. I guess what I've come to understand is that you don't choose your defining moments. They choose you. And in those moments, when the world tilts on its axis, you discover who you really are, what you're truly made of. I'm still just Marcus, a father, a husband, a guy driving an old Honda. But I'm also the man who, on one terrible Tuesday afternoon, didn't look away. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. When I see Leo now, and Maria makes sure we see each other often, he's usually got a soccer ball at his feet, a mischievous grin on his face. He still favors his shoulder a tiny bit, a subtle reminder of the ordeal he endured. But he runs, he laughs, he plays. And every time I see him, I feel this familiar ache in my chest. But it's no longer just sadness or fear. It's gratitude. Gratitude for second chances. Gratitude for the resilience of brave little boys. Gratitude for the unexpected connections that can be forged in the crucible of our most terrifying experiences. Sarah still tells me I don't give myself enough credit. Maybe she's right. It's hard to see yourself as a hero when all you felt was a primal fear and an overwhelming, desperate need to just do something. The news stories have long since faded. The GoFundMe account is closed. The world has moved on. But Maria will never forget. Leo will never forget. And I know, with absolute certainty, that I will never, ever forget. Sometimes late at night, when the house is quiet and my family is asleep, I'll sit by the window and replay it all in my mind. The clang of those metal stairs, the sickening pop, 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 the feel of Leo's small, bloodied hand clutching mine. And I'll offer up a quiet prayer of thanks. Not for being a hero, but for being given the chance to help. For Leo, who got to keep on living. And that, I've come to realize, is more than enough for me. It's everything.